Hello everybody, this is Frogman and welcome back to Engineer's Life 2. I about forgot what we were playing. I've been at this pretty much all day, having a good time today playing with this pack, doing some stuff, getting the work done, getting some cool things running around and working. So last episode we did a bit of work with our power generational stuff. We built a kind of a storage slash transformer slash distribution thingy over there, and on top of the hill over there we built a excavator that will allow us to get some aluminum, well, mainly aluminum and a little bit of iron. And I have since done a bit of just overall working around the base and cleaning things up and making stuff happen. So let's talk about the first thing we did. Since we decided we did that, I went ahead and I crafted a small electrical furnace, which is probably one of the coolest little things that we can get to doing things like this. They're really cheap. They're just some conveyor belts and some iron plates and a furnace and some stuff. And what's cool about that small electric furnace is it's a pass-through device, as well as it works specifically with the conveyor belt. So we will be utilizing probably quite a few of these eventually as we play along with this pack, because of the fact that this is about the quickest, easiest way to process stuff in line with what happens. So what I did was basically I take the ores and I toss them in this chest. The crusher, of course, doubles up the ores and it runs it up this conveyor belt into the small electric furnace. It has 3 slots in it that it can contain pulverized materials or whatever that you plan on cooking in it. It will then cook it based on whatever speed setting you have it set at, which at this one currently is set to max capacity, or as fast as it can go, and then we'll just spit it right back out onto the belt and into that chest. So really handy little device. Again, we will probably have, I don't know, 4 or 5 of these things once we get to our ore smelting production facility thing that we need to go kind of start thinking about doing here probably in the next episode or two, because we're going to start producing quite a bit of stuff. I went ahead and, for the moment, down and dirty, connected that chest to the rest of the system with an importer cable kind of thing, so that it pulls whatever out of that chest into this network and then delivers it into the simple storage network for the moment in time. And we now have a decent amount of iron along with a lot of aluminum, and I love to see that much aluminum, because aluminum is it's going to be used mainly for wire coils and things so that we can make the HV wires and stuff. But I do really like the way aluminum sheet metal looks, and it's going to be something that we'll probably utilize, especially for other things, because there's some stuff that I like to use when it comes to doing things. So, all right, let's go outside. We have been busy, and I'm going to kind of start with some of the stuff that we've done. I guess we'll start with the bees, and then we can talk about what's going on over here and over there. So the bees, I kind of got to messing with them just slightly. I went ahead and made a honey generator so that we could hopefully get rid of some of the excess energy that we have, or at least excess stuff. I'm going to turn you on and you can run that side. Mainly because this is going to be a kind of a continuous hassle, which is going to be the fact that we're going to always get honey from our system over here. So I did, in between episodes, go ahead and make a kind of a automated system. I'm not going to say it's 100% completely automated, but I went ahead and built 3 more powered centrifuges and loaded them up with some of these speed upgrades so that they could kind of catch up. We were kind of behind on some things because of the fact that, well, I'd let this whole system run for quite a while and we ended up with a mess. So let's go see what I did. On the back here, we went ahead and expanded all of the hives so that we can technically contain, 5 bees now, and per each little thing. And basically what this is going to do is we're just going to keep going that direction with it as we see we need to get some more bees. So these slimy bees, they've been doing a really good job. So basically what we've done at this point is we'll have there's a hopper on the bottom of all of these hives that feed in the materials and whatnot that come out of the hives, and that goes into this covered conveyor belt, because now that I have a decent amount of iron, I can make a decent amount of steel, and I'm going to start using these. I actually need to go find a villager that will sell this stuff to us, but whatever. That goes into a lifting conveyor belt that goes into a looping around system of conveyor belts, both dropping conveyor belts, which drop straight into the centrifuges, and then they go continually around. So we have an overflow system should we end up with a whole lot of excess stuff. And basically all that does is just cycle the combs around and around and around until they can drop into the centrifuges and be processed. We're using fluid pumps, which is unfortunate because the only way I've found at this point to pull any kind of a fluid out of any kind of a machine. So the fluid pump will pull the honey out of the machine, put it into this stack of fluid barrels, which then go over to that one little guy over there, and I've got him over there. That's temporary. Pretty much what we're going to do with it is I think likely I will run that pipe around over to the other side over here and plug it in between one of these generators. But that was just a test to see whether or not it would work. Those things burn a lot of honey very, very quickly, and they also produce very minimal RF, so it's kind of a trash can for this stuff. So in between episodes, I did manage to get a couple of interesting little guys, so let's go take a look at them really quickly. You need to let your world go dark, so we're going to kind of start letting this go dark a little bit. I need to kind of let some stuff happen, and hopefully this will get a little better. I managed to get a skeletal bee, which a skeletal bee will produce bone and bone meal for us, which will come in very much in handy. I'm hoping to try to convince several more of his friends to show up. But yeah, that's the beginning of doing a few things there. They're really, 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 really hard to get a hold of. Let's see. Skeletal bee is be sure to keep your hives well lit to prevent this guy from moving in. The species of bees cannot breed amongst themselves, which sucks. That may mean I'm going to try something here in a little while. We may try to breed that bee with another bee because I believe these guys can be bred with something like a lapis bee to get a dye bee. And I would assume at this point it's like other mods and other things that this is a chance-based thing here. The likelihood of us getting that dye bee might be 100% or it might not be. So I wonder if you breed a lapis bee with a skeletal bee, there's a percentage chance you can get a skeletal bee out of this thing. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll play with that eventually. Bone meal is going to be something we're going to be using for sure with our plant-based materials. So the other thing that I got, or at least he decided to move in, was a zombie. And I know that's cute, right? Zombie, whatever. I did go find a couple of zombies. One happened to move into this section right here, and I left him. I figure we'll just keep a couple of those guys around, and they can do what they need to do. They produce, of course, rotten flesh, so we're now got a decent supply of rotten flesh, a decent supply of slime balls, and a minuscule amount of bone meal at this point, but we're gonna work on that eventually. I've been trying to get these guys to show up, and basically what I've done is you can kind of see them out there in the dark. There is some hives that I just kind of planted out there, and there is a very light, very, very small chance that you'll end up with one of those skeletal bees or a zombie or some other kind of bee in one of those things, and it's kind of a deal. I really actually am kind of enjoying the bee mod in this, or at least the productive bees, because of course it's a vanilla kind of a thing, and well, they're handy. I mean, if that's going to be how they're going to work, I may kind of play with them a little bit more, at least to kind of produce various materials, because it's back to being breeding of bees. You can breed bees to get various bees, or you convert bees into other bees. And I mean, if I wanted a withered bee, I'm assuming those guys would make withered combs, and withered combs would make withered skull chips, which will let me, grow wither skeletons, which is a kind of a neat little idea. We have multiple ways of doing things, and for that matter, we could be spawning skeletons to do stuff, but these are just little handy guys. So we'll kind of continue to play on with them and see how things work. So this system, I kind of got to the point where I'm just like, we're going to start playing with the conveyors now that we own them or can have them and play with stuff. Plus, a lot of this stuff here, these rotten flesh, we can convert that into leather as we work on it. So it's not a very easy process, but it is doable. Okay, and again, I'm going to kind of let the night run. I did go ahead and make several powered lanterns. Every other pole out here has a powered lantern on it now, which means we can kind of hang out and not have to worry about mobs trying to murder us within the general confines of the base. Yes, they're spawning out there, but we don't really have to worry about them. And the problem I really need is the fact that that skeletal bee and the zombies only produce at night. So we're gonna have to start, like, staying up and letting things happen. I've been kind of fooling with this mess a little bit. I went ahead and did a little bit more decoration on it, and I just wanted to kind of see what we were up to. So you are definitely going down. I figured you would be. This system is off, this one's on. You can run a little bit. I'm not really worried about it right now, mainly because we're not doing any major massive amount of work other than running this stuff over here. So let's talk about the next section. As you notice, all of the stuff is gone over there, and we have another big facility over here, kind of thing. So in between episodes, or today basically, I've been over here kind of working on this new farming system. So what I want to do is I kind of want to be able to contain the majority of the farming, especially this kind of farming, the crop farming and the animal farming on this side of the base, so that it's out of our way, and the major machine, like I said, the machines, the production facilities and stuff like that are going to be out here. So I think we're going to go ahead and take a nap. Where is the moon? It's been raining and stupid and all kinds of stuff, so surprised I don't have any phantoms out. Let's take a nap. Cool. Now, okay, we got our nap taken care of. We can take a look at this crazy mess of stuff. So, essentially what I did is I went ahead and crafted a double set of other stuff. We're going to leave that farm over there mainly for the moment. We're going to need it for the food that we're currently eating for our character. But essentially now what we've got going on is we've got two 9x9 farms that are stackable, or at least double tall, so that we have the industrial hemp on the bottom in two sections and the potatoes on top. And the reason why I put the potatoes on top is because the potatoes need to be under glass to grow correctly all the time. So they're underneath a kind of a dome. We'll take a look at it in just a second. One thing that is nice to note about the industrial hemp is that industrial hemp does not need a plant sower to continue to grow, because the plant gatherer is smart enough, this machine, to pick the top of the hemp. So once the hemp gets to this stage of growth, it is considerably fast at growing what it needs to grow out here. So between the two different things, I downsized mainly because of the fact that the machines take time to do their rows. So basically what it does is it doesn't necessarily harvest the one thing that just happens to be there. It harvests in rows. It works its way across the pattern and then starts over once it gets to the end. So it starts at the beginning, works its way across, ends, and then goes back to the beginning. The same thing with the plant sowers. The plant sowers do the exact same thing. They take way too long. So I made two farms that are slightly smaller, but between the two of them, we have a decent amount of stuff that's over compared to what was over there. So let's go upstairs, and I need to go find my my walk path because I really didn't pay attention to this. I need to do a little bit more goofing, and we may change this around, but we are going to be storing the leftover stuff or the farmed materials in silos because I like the way they look. These hold 47,000 items, I believe, before they run over. So we'll look at that mess. But basically what we're doing here is we're going to go up on top and use these nice little catwalks. Up top, we do have plant sowers. These guys are taking care of the potatoes. And I do have industrial hemp seeds in here. And I could actually probably just only keep a single stack of potatoes in here. It doesn't really matter. But I'm just using those seeds to try to block out it so it doesn't completely fill. So the system doesn't completely fill up these with stuff. They just don't need to be there. What we're doing again, of course, is the same old kind of material and things and stuff. The tops have glass in them, and I'm assuming that this is not problematic because I found these cool little ceiling edge lights. Light. I know that's not a best way to do that. Ceiling edge lights, which are the inset floor edge lights, which are the inset lights, which are basically just glass panes and a set of those metal bars, and you get a a piece of glowstone will make 8 of these, and then they're just recursive crafted into the other things that you get, and you can continuously just cycle them around. So those, I think, are part of Engineer's decor, and they're very handy, and they're decently looking little lights. So on the back sides of all the sides, we have our plant gatherer with a range tier add-on 4, which means it will harvest, of course, a 5x5 square, which is cool. And we have a fluid pump that is pulling the sludge out of the back of each of the plant gatherers, and it is delivering the sludge down into a little bitty building down behind us. So what's going on now, or at least what we were doing before, is we were using the simple storage network that was over there, that is still over there. I made another one to take care of this little problem. We did that so that we could just easily move things around, because I felt like I didn't want to fool with the conveyor belts, and I need to quit hitting things. I keep hitting things and I keep hurting myself. I decided against that. We're going to use conveyor belts in this system. So this is totally, completely automatable with conveyor belts. It just requires you to kind of think about how you do things. So the plant gatherer on the bottom of it right there, you can just barely see it, has a hopper which delivers everything into this conveyor belt line. And then the conveyor belt line runs into an item router. Now, that direction right there is west, and that direction right there is north. So the plant gatherer is on the west side, so I want to put just potatoes in it, but I also want to give it the capability of being able to move the potatoes to the north side. So basically what happens is it's going to try to put potatoes into the plant sower, and then it's going to send stuff down this conveyor belt line over here. This conveyor belt line obviously goes down the line again over to this side, and again, another item router is sitting next to this plant sower to do the exact same thing. Then we have another conveyor belt line that goes into a vertical conveyor belt that goes up and over and across the top of all of these item silos, and then it ends up in an overflow chute, which these are so cool. I like these things. They're so much fun. Sheet metal chutes go down to the bottom and converts into more or less an entry sheet metal chute, and dumps stuff into this iron chest. Now, if you want the bottom of a sheet metal chute to look like that, you have to click it with a engineer's hammer looking at the direction you want it to open. So like if I want it to open on that side, I need to click the back side of it here. Anyhow, and then we have I was getting rid of some stuff to put things into there, so that's kind of what that's for. The same thing is going on underneath here on both of these. There is, the shovel, pop. Can I get down here and look at it? Probably not. Same thing right there. There is another hopper that you can't see that runs underneath, and these conveyor belts go all the way across the underside, all the way underneath of the other system here, and go into that little tower right there and go back up and drop into it. So everything is conveyor belted. So it means we don't have to worry about trying to upgrade this mess to anything else, and it's functional. So as long as I don't have any crazy backups, then we should be okay and we shouldn't have a problem. So we did make sure we got a decent looking power system wandering around through, and I did kind of decorate a little bit with the posts and some other stuff. So the other thing that I did, since we're doing this now and we're actually, we've got 4 plant gatherers, they should produce a somewhat okay amount of sludge. So I went ahead and crafted a couple of sludge refiners, which basically are pretty simple. They're another little simple pity machine frame and a bunch of stuff. And what these sludge refiners do is they just basically take the leftover sludge junk and turn it into some kind of something. So we're not really making a lot at this point. It's just been kind of running here relatively slowly. And this is all just going to be kind of freebie junk. These things are kind of expensive to run. They do kind of take a little bit of RF. I believe it was 1,000 RF a tick per each to make the thing. So when they are running, they're kind of expensive, but they're not really running very often. And honestly, I can probably just get away with one of them at this point. So I just went and stuck them in a little building. Hello, Gar. How are you? These used to be, back in the day, very, 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 very nasty. Back when it was Mine Factory Reloaded, the sludge boilers were one of those things that were very nasty, and I kind of was going to go put it over there. That's why this whole little area is nice and flattened out, and then I kind of tested it and found out that they don't hurt you anymore. So I put them right behind where they need to be. So we're going to have a small amount of stuff come in very slowly over just random junk and things. This stuff's going to be usable. It's just that we don't need it right now. So I guess as far as everything else goes, the wiring was kind of fun, getting the wires to go where I wanted the wires to go, and doing a couple of other things. I did have to put I put a current transformer up there for right now, just to kind of test a few things. Current transformers are one of those things that you need to learn how to use, because these are how you tell how much a section of a network of your immersive engineering, wiring, powering, generational system, whatever you want to call it. Basically what it does is it tells you how much one section of your system is using. So the power comes in, power goes out, it measures it, and you just click on it, it'll let you know when something happens. I have it up here because I was concerned this was using a considerable amount more power than I wanted it to, and it's basically coming up to the point that I'm finding that either the chunk loading or the chunk open base system, or whatever the heck it is, in 1.16 is not nearly as hardened or as friendly as, say, 1.12 or 1.7, whatever. I've been having a lot of problems leaving and coming back. So like, I don't need this to run all the time. I just need it to run kinda. But like, all this area is chunk loaded now. All of it, every little bit of it. I just slapped a bunch of chunk loaders down so that we can cover everything that's busy out here. Because if I just went up on top of the hill over there to go check that miner and come back down, this would break. And I don't understand exactly why. It wasn't like I was that far, and I mean, I can see it. I mean, that power pole right there is right next to that thing. So I don't understand why we're having such a problem. But anyhow, we're okay on this point. We're doing reasonably well. Everything seems to be okay, and I'm fairly happy with how this is functioning. So the fun part of the other issue that we're having, and the thing that we're going to work on today with the rest of this mess, is unfortunately we have to come play with the cows. So I do want to kind of get this going a little bit as far as how things work. So we're going to go ahead and take a nap, and then we're going to play with these guys using some other stuff. Actually, I think what we're going to do is we're going to run over to the base and sleep over there, and then I'll see you guys in a little bit. Alrighty then, so what we're going to do today, or we're just going to kind of screw around a little bit. The rest of the project that I kind of wanted to do today, most of everything we've been doing up until now has just been trying to make stuff happen. And now we need to kind of look at making things happen faster, pretty much. So what I want to do today, or at least mess around with today, is I want to see whether or not something else is still a kind of a thing. Because we do have a machine called a fertilizer, or a plant fertilizer, which we have not yet implemented into the system. And they're kind of expensive. They take simple machine frames. So it's kind of one of those kind of expensive kind of deals. They require pity machine frames and all that kind of stuff. If we get lucky, we're going to build one today. But what I kind of want to look at today is specifically is how do you make a reasonable amount of fertilizer, this stuff, without having to do all of the silliness that exists. So the reason why we have a bunch of cows over there is because cows can be utilized to make sewage. And if we take sewage and we run it through a sewage composter, it'll make the plant fertilizer for us. So how do you get sewage? Well, this is one of those things that, I used to use a lot, and I still do when it comes to Mine Factory Loaded or this system, is that this is an easy way of getting a lot of stuff. So a sewer, which we're going to have to make a bunch of pity machine frames for, a sewer basically collects sewage from live entities above it. So I believe, it's been a long time since I fooled with one of these. I don't exactly know whether or not this still works the way it used to, but we're going to make a couple of these because we're going to try to play with a sewage composter and a sewer today. So let's see, what do we need? We need a bucket. Can I make a bucket? Can I make an iron gear? I can. Can I make a sewer? Thank you. All right. Cool. And I've got a whole bunch of stuff on these quests that I need to go back and check. We'll look at it later. I was wondering whether or not this was going to allow me to use, say, that. I mean, I know that's ridiculous, but we can grab that. We'll put it in there. Does this work? It does. Beautiful. Awesome. Okay. Ooh, do we need power? That's not going to be awesome. Let's go test this out. This is going to be a royal pain because we're going to have to figure out how to get this thing to empty, which may or may not work. This is kind of the reason why I want the really wide one, because I may end up having to put this thing off to the side a little bit compared to what I would normally want to do. So cows are a pretty good way of getting a hold of this kind of stuff. Plus, we're going to need to be able to play with these guys as we go along. So in the kindness of my heart, I will take the friendly creatures and shut them off so that you guys don't have to listen to it. And I want to kind of play around with this. So we said here, this is going to react just straight above it. Is it going to require power? So if it's going to require power, I'm going to want to put it on the back. And I wanted to, the issue is going to be, it has to be in the ground. And I don't have an easy way. Oh, hey, there's a cave down there. Cool. I don't have a really easy way of collecting things from something like this, because of the fact that the only pumps we have, or at least the only way to automatically pull something out of a machine like this that I can find, is with one of those, which means this is going to have to live in the middle out there and also get power, which means I'm going to have to be really careful with my power. So let's see something here. MV wire, I'm just going to drop this right on top of you, and I want to see if you pick up stuff. You need to have power to do this. You do. How much can you see with that current upgrade in you? Excellent. That's all it needs to see. Good deal. That means I can kind of make this work easier than I was expecting to be able to make this work. So if we click on that button right there, I don't know how much we're going to get out of this. I know it's one of those kinds of things. So we need to go make a sewage boiler. Sewage, not sewage boiler, whatever, sewage thingy. And we need to go ahead and make a pump so that I can get that fluid out of there. So let me go do that. Alrighty, so I got one of these, and I think what we're going to do is we're just going to sink this all in the ground, which is going to not be awesome, but hey, it is what it is. I don't really need it to be any kind of fanciness, so I just need to do this, and I need my hammer, so no input, output, this, and a lever on. That should fill that up. And do I have any more connectors? Am I going to have to go make one? No, we got one. That'll work there. Hello, bee. Which one are you? Blue banded. What do you do? Blue banded. He can be found living inside holes in trees. Lapis bee, redstone bee, blue banded bee, lead bee. Ooh. Well, we'll have to play with these. But like I say, there you go. Iron bee. Iron bee is a crystalline bee and an ashy mining bee, which I found one of these guys. And that just means we need to go to the nether and get one of those. But we're getting sidetracked. Does this work? And how much does it make? One per bucket. That's actually not too terribly slow. How much is in this? Now, this will get better as we get a whole bunch of cows in here. So it may be something that we'll kind of continue to play with. But basically what you do with this stuff is you put it in a fertilizer thingy, and you can then have it automatically fertilize your materials, your stuff. So like that, and like that, and like that, and like that. And basically what we're going to do, I believe, is we're going to stick a fertilizer machine on here and point it at these potatoes, and let it go to town fertilizing the potatoes with whatever comes in. So can I get off of this without hurting myself too badly? No. So we may end up adding a speed upgrade. I think there's a processing upgrade for these. Processing. I think we can add like an add-on processing tier. One of these two will probably speed that thing up, I believe. And then we can just kind of start stuffing a whole lot more cows and a whole lot more things in here. What I am going to do is I'm going to probably populate this area considerably full of cattle, and then, or cows. And then what we'll do is we're going to get into the rancher. I believe animal rancher is the thing I want. One of these in here. That will let me get milk that I don't think we need. What is it? A slaughterer? Whatever. It's a... you're going to make me look at it. The rancher does that work. It is industrial foregoing. Industrial foregoing, lower laser mine, all this wonderful stuff. We need to get into these things too, these laser miners, because apparently they're definitely a lot better than they used to be. I'm going to have to go look for this. But essentially, there's a machine that should be able to sort out the babies from the grown-ups, so we can sit there and continuously feed them with stuff that we may farm out of one of these, and or use this. I mean, this feeding trough works just fine. And then we can sort the babies out once we get enough of the grown-ups and push them over into a spot and slowly kill them for food and or other things, or especially, namely, leather for the conveyor belts that we're going to be using. So I guess for right now, that's what I'm going to do. We're going to let the fertilizer system over here work a little bit. I will probably try to figure out a way to make this look a little nicer, hopefully, and then we'll go on from there. But for now, I think, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it. I'm going to continue to try to collect on some of these bees, and we'll see what we get, like that guy right over there. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Bye.